to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Matt, may we please have roll call?
Counselor Thompson.
Here.
Demas.
Here.
Pedri.
Here.
Hickerson.
Here.
Zadi. Hanson.
Here.
Vitolo.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Mayor Mickelson.
Here. Before we move into our regular business, Councilor Zadi had asked me to have us all do a moment of silence for Mr. Harry Holler. He was a U.S. Army veteran who devoted a lot of his time to working with local and federal offices to make sure that both our active duty military and our veterans got the care and recognition that they deserve, and he's recently passed away. So if you'd all join us, please. Okay. Thank you for that. I would entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demas. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, which brings us to our consent agenda this evening. We have the City Council meeting minutes of February 20th, 2024, the Special Council meeting minutes of February 21st, 2024. We have an appointment to the Joint Powers Combined Communication Board of Alex Visser for an unexpired term, an appointment to the Sweetwater County Joint Travel and Tourism Board of Corey Gardner for his second term. We have Channing Posey and Creston Cross both being appointed to the Building Code Appeals Board for their first terms. We have the Rock Springs Historical Museum Board meeting minutes of November 8th, 2023, Joint Powers Combined Communications Board meeting minutes of December 18th, 2023, Joint Powers Telecom Board meeting minutes of January 25th, 2024, and the Main Street Board meeting minutes of February 12th, 2024. And then under correspondence, we have an invitation from Western Wyoming Community College for its opening reception of the Memories in Nature art exhibit, March 15th, 2024, from 4 to 6 p.m., a letter from the Wyoming Department of Transportation regarding the Transportation Commission's increase of the annual allotment to the Urban Systems Program in the amount of $445,998 as of October 1st, 2024, and then a letter from myself giving support to the HELPER Act, which is federal legislation that would help our emergency responders with home purchases. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Patillo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there any, oh, nope. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, which brings us to the fun part of this evening. We've got some folks in the audience that we're super happy to share our congratulations and appreciation for their accomplishment with. First up, we have the Rock Springs High School wrestling team. Is there somebody who'd like to come up and address us before we get to you could just share a little bit about your season and any thoughts you have. We'd sure appreciate it.
Well, first off, it started off with the bang, just starting off with having over 40 guys and girls showing up to start off the season. You know, that never lasts the full amount of the season, but it's always good to see that there's people that are coming out to try it. But we started off our season strong with a few wins. A lot of our returning guys were really starting off strong and wrestling well. And it just continued throughout the season until we got to regionals, where we ended up being second place to Star Valley. And then when we went to the state tournament, we ended up placing fourth, and we ended up placing on top of Star Valley, which is an accomplishment for us. We've always been kind of gauging ourselves to where we are as a team, according to some of those teams that we always lose to. So being able to actually accomplish some of those things and get above where we have been in the past is just that climbing rope that we want to do. We'll be sad to see our seniors leave. They had some great leadership with our four-time state champion. You know, he's been very very instrumental in watching some of our younger guys grow and pushing them, and kind of just him and some of the other seniors that we have in there, not just because he's a 4-time state champion, but the other seniors too. They've just taken the team and they've become other coaches in the room and have really pushed our team to reach new heights. So we've kind of challenged as coaching staff our next set of seniors to do the same thing. Keep pushing and keep making our team even better. So as a staff, we're really proud of what our young men and women have accomplished. We only have 3 girls, but they're constantly pushing, going out there in the community and asking more girls to join, doing all they can to promote girls wrestling. So, as a whole, our whole team, we're just super proud of the way they carry themselves.
Well, thank you. We are also very proud of you and all the work that you guys have done. That is quite an accomplishment. And we have 3 state champions.
3, yes.
Justin Henry and Brock Fletcher and Ian Dickinson.
Yep.
Very good. Are they here this evening?
Yes, they are.
Would you like to invite them up to join you and share with us about their season?
Come up, guys.
It was a great season. It was a pretty awesome season as far as I'm concerned. Like Coach DePorto said, we started out very strong in the beginning. A lot of us experienced some just personal injuries that I know we all pushed through and succeeded throughout the year. And I couldn't be prouder of the younger kids coming up and doing and saying what they were all just told to do. And they strived and they just pushed as far as they could, and it paid off in the end.
Like he said, it was a great season.
Okay. Well,
Looks like we're going to have to work on our public speaking skills.
I appreciate their willingness to do it at all.
And, the rest of the team is here everybody else that made it to state, they're all here to support. And that's just the way we roll. If 2 people get to go out there and be in the limelight, all of us are there.
Very good. That is wonderful. Well, I think we're going to want to get a picture. And it might be easiest if we all go out to the lobby.
Okay.
I think is that. Yeah.
Probably easier than last time.
Yeah. We're learning as we go. So if y'all join us out in the lobby, and then we'll resume when we get back.
Thank you.
I'm trying to adjust that picture. I think
Now, what's our next picture? Oh, the swim team. Next will be swim team.
I wonder.
Sweet tweet. I see your sisters and mommy.
Yeah. The wrestlers, they got an easy exit.
Yeah.
Take a picture out there, and here we go.
Well, and it opened up a lot of room.
Yeah.
Your
Okay.
mom and family.
So next up, Gunnar Seeloff, if you'd please come down to the podium. And as I understand it, you are our 100-yard freestyle champion, state champion this year?
Yes, I am.
Very good. Well, tell us about your season. Tell us about the work to get there.
It's a lot of work. Swimming is far different from wrestling. I don't claim to know anything about any other sport. I just know that we do it without breathing. So they can run and do all their fun stuff. I do it without any air. But
That's good.
it was such a fun season. I can thank my coach, Avery Otto, who is here today as well.
You're welcome to invite her up if you'd like to speak.
Yes, come. I can thank my teammates. Among her, I can thank my teammates and everyone from my family to family friends helping me along the way, but most of all, Miss Otto.
I've had the honor of coaching Gunnar for the past 3 years, and my favorite part of the past 3 seasons with him was seeing how much he matured and how much he grew and how badly he wanted to accomplish this goal. So it was just super exciting to be a part of that and see him reach that goal this year. He's extremely talented, so coachable, and I'm so lucky to have been able to work with you. So thanks, Gunnar.
Well, that is wonderful. And we are very proud of and congratulate you. That is an outstanding accomplishment. If you guys want to join us over here under the TV, we'll get a picture with everybody.
Hey, Your Honor, real quick, if you don't mind. What was your time, Gunnar? Fantastic. And I'm guessing at this point you're hearing from a college or two saying, come swim with us.
Yes, I would love to stay within the state and go to Laramie, see if I can pick up a scholarship and swim for them.
Fantastic. Good luck.
We're getting our steps in tonight. Okay, now you're one.
Okay. So for our
Say something?
Probably not.
Sorry. So for our final commendation of this evening, I would invite Rory Pedri up to the podium, please. It is not just the youth of our community who make it special, it's also the adults. And you were selected as the Wyoming School Nurse of the Year. So if you could share with us about that, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you. That's correct. So in the state of Wyoming, we have over 200 school nurses serving our students and school communities. And this year, being a part of the Wyoming State School Nurse Association, I was nominated by two of my peers, Amy Wigg and Barbara Ackerman. And they wrote a very nice letter on my behalf, and it went out to the state school nurses, and I was honored with the privilege of representing this year as Wyoming State School Nurse of the Year.
Well, congratulations. That is wonderful.
Thank you.
To be lifted up by your peers is a real testament to the skill and work that you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Council, do you have any? Yes, sir.
Oh, that's excellent. That's great. Yep. Thank you. Thank your mom.
Hey, Your Honor, kind of going a little bit I don't know if it's out of the norm or not, but I know that the last two people recognized have a relative here on the council. I think it'd be great if they could get a picture together.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to send them a warm congratulations too.
Yeah,
So
very good.
I'm very proud of them, and on and off, throughout the years, we've had the privilege to watch them all grow and develop, and Rory's been a leader of our pack. So thank you, and keep up the good work.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, if you'd like to join us for a quick photo op.
Yes, please. Be great.
Lap 3.
Before we're done, we could have the rest of Council Petrie's family up here. Got one more coming.
Oops.
It's required a little bit of extra. We're almost there. One more. Okay. Well, that's good stuff. It's pretty special, the people that we have that make up our community. We have 3 proclamations this evening. The first is 307 First Day, and I understand we've got representation. Yes, sir. Come on down. You want to share a little bit about 307 First? We'd love to
Happy
hear
to,
it.
because there are probably folks in the room who have no idea what it is. So 307 First is a group that started about 15 years ago. The idea was to support Wyoming-owned businesses. It's very easy for a business to reach a certain stage and then get purchased by an out-of-state entity. When that happens, they first stop doing business with other local businesses. They bank at a corporate location. They use other services at corporate locations. They usually reduce headcount over time. But also all the profit from that organization then leaves the state as well. So 307 First has the intention of keeping companies in the state of Wyoming owned by people in the state of Wyoming. We actually ourselves own 3 Wyoming companies, in addition to investing in other companies. Most people, again, have no idea that happens because you don't know who owns what company. One example I would mention here in Rock Springs is there are a number of gaming parlors in the city. We're the only one that's actually owned in the state of Wyoming, which is the Derby Club that opened recently. So if you happen to go there and participate, you know those dollars are staying in the state of Wyoming, which is a great thing for all of us. Another way people would know about us is if you travel around the state, you see these large metal silhouettes that say 307 First on those. I've had people tell me they thought the Wyoming Department of Tourism was putting those up. That's actually not true. We don't put those up either. We act as kind of a middle person for those. All of those silhouettes were sponsored by a local company or a local agency, and then they're hosted by local landowners. So it's a real grassroots project to get people to think Wyoming first, think 307 first. So that's a little bit about the organization.
Very good. Council, do you have any questions? Nope. Okay, with that, I will read the proclamation. When consumers choose to buy from local businesses, it directly contributes to job creation, helps to maintain and expand job opportunities for residents, and increases economic resiliency within our state. Local businesses are more likely to invest in community development initiatives such as sponsorship of local sports teams or donations to nonprofits. They also contribute to the unique identity and culture of our city, have smaller ecological footprints, and oftentimes provide higher quality goods and services. Dollars spent purchasing local goods and services circulate multiple times within the community, increasing tax revenues and contributing to essential public services, infrastructure projects, and education. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare March 7th, 2024 to be 307 First Day in Rock Springs, Wyoming, and I encourage the people of Rock Springs to keep as much of their hard-earned dollars in the state of Wyoming as possible to further enrich our community, bolster our economic resiliency, and spur job creation. Don't go too far. Next up, we have the proclamation for Arts Month, and I think there's some representatives here, and I'd invite them to the podium to tell us about that.
Thank you for having us here. Got some of the URA board members, all of you, right? No? Well, representing, anyway. I'm Deborah Soule. I know most of all of you. Been up here a few times. And I just want to thank you for claiming March as Arts Month. it brings attention and recognizing all the wonderful cultural and artistic forms that we have in our community. You know, beyond the economic benefits, which I think is mentioned in the proclamation, we know that the arts matter because it affects the human soul, right? It illuminates. Any of the arts can console and articulate both about an understanding of our culture and as individuals. It expresses our beliefs, and it goes beyond the identifiers of gender, race, age, sexual orientation, or politics. The arts cover a much broader and more wholesome way of looking at a person and our community. It's the core of our human nature, you know, to have the arts. I read a poem this morning on Facebook. Of course, they put all of that. And I wish I'd brought it because it was very short, very simple, and it just touched me. So, and I know that all of you have heard songs, seen somebody in a play, seen a piece of art that responded to your soul. So I try to remember this quote every time and share it that Kurt Vonnegut said, because I share it with the third graders when they come for a tour at the Fine Arts Center. Practicing an art, no matter how well or badly, is a way to make your soul grow, for heaven's sake. Sing in the shower, dance to the radio, tell stories. Write a poem to a friend, even a lousy poem. Do it as well as you possibly can. You will get an enormous reward. You will have created something. And you hear my voice break because this really does keep us all on a level field, and it really does make our souls grow. So thank you so much for honoring us with this month of the arts. There's a long calendar. I wish we'd brought one. I'm sure they're around town, and they're, of course, on social media about all the different performances, exhibits, classes that you can participate in. Most of them are free. So do try to find some time. And I want to thank the few of you that have sent me the posts for Facebook, why the arts matter. Having that personal voice really does mean something. So go on the Fine Arts Center page, either Facebook or Instagram, and read what your fellow community members are saying. Thank you.
Very good. Council, do you have any?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
how many out-of-town visitors do you get per year or per month? What is that? Quite a
It's been a while since I've tracked that because COVID kind of messed us up.
Yeah.
But at one point, I think we were hitting 2,000 or 3,000 just at the Fine Arts Center. We had a lot of community members coming, but we did get people from other states, other countries come in because we're kind of unique having a Rockwell in Wyoming, and just being free and available is an unusual situation for a museum too.
I would have never imagined that it was that much, but that's
Yeah,
cool.
I was
I'm
really
happily surprised.
Of course, I've been there, over 23 years now. I was really amazed and thankful for the number of people that do come and visit us.
Cool.
There was a common thread when I was visiting with the Airstream folks. That was one of their big, they loved it. And I can see why. Like, it's a great, resource. Okay, well, with that, Downtown Rock Springs, the Community Fine Arts Center, and all other local cultural organizations under the Sweetwater Arts Partnership has declared March to be the Arts Month in Rock Springs. The arts and humanities embody much of the accumulated wisdom, intellect, and imagination of humankind. The arts and humanities enhance and enrich the lives of everyone in our community. The arts and humanities play a unique role in the lives of our families, our communities, and our country. Our local organizations have celebrated the value and importance of culture in the lives of our citizens by sponsoring exhibits, concerts, and performances. The arts and cultural industry strengthens our nation's economy by generating $1.2 billion to Wyoming's economy alone and supports the full-time equivalent of 11,461 arts employment jobs in our state. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare March 2024 to be the Arts Month. and Rock Springs, Wyoming, and call upon our community members to celebrate and promote the arts and culture in our city, and to specifically encourage the greater participation by those said community members in taking action for the arts and humanities in their community. I would note that when you look at sort of the historical remnants of cultures, art is one of the things that does tend to survive all the way back to prehistory.
And
so
teach us and keep history, and there's
Yeah.
all sorts of reasons why it's important.
it has very clearly been integral to our human experience since we've been, people. I was just reminded that I should remind everyone that the Mayor's Arts Awards will be March 28th at the atrium at the college, and postcards will be going out soon, so hopefully we'll see all of you there. Our final proclamation of this evening is for Women's History, and there's not, I don't think, anyone here to talk about that, but I don't think that anybody in this room would exist without women, so they're a pretty important part of our experience, and certainly have provided a great deal of enrichment in all of our lives. So with that, in March, we celebrate Women's History Month and honor the contributions of women in American history, despite hardship, discrimination, and exclusion. Women play a critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of life in Rock Springs. Women have been leaders in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, and in the abolitionist, emancipation, industrial labor, civil rights, and peace movements, creating a more fair and just society for all. Despite their contributions, the role of women in history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in literature, teaching, and the study of American history. This month, we celebrate countless pioneering women and their victories, and we continue our work to build a society where our daughters have the same possibilities as our sons. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare March 2024 to be Women's History Month in the City of Rock Springs. And I call upon the Rock Springs community to observe this month and to celebrate with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. I also invite citizens to visit womenshistorymonth.gov to learn more about the generations of women who have left enduring imprints on our history. One of my favorite quotes that I think is pertinent here is that everybody wants to save the world, but nobody wants to help mom do the dishes. And I think that Women's History Month is a really good time for all of us to step up and support the women in our lives who do so much for us. So that ends presentations, proclamations, and commendations and takes us into public hearings. The first is a public hearing regarding the proposed sale of municipal real property located along Muir Avenue to a private party. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to that? Okay, we'll close that and move to a public hearing on an application for a restaurant liquor license by Cowboy Corner Cafe, Wyoming, doing business as Wild Mustang Restaurant, located at 2028 Dewar Drive in Rock Springs. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak to that? Okay, hearing none, we will close public hearings and move to petitions and public comment. If you'd like to address the council and I, please approach the podium and identify yourself by name and who, if any, organization you represent.
Sorry, I had to make sure he wasn't sitting on this thing anymore. Good evening. My name is Kenny Starling McCormick, or as many folks around the state of Wyoming have come to know me, Starling My Darling. I'm a local performing artist specializing in live theater, singing, and drag. I know, scary. For the last 2 years, my business, The Starling Company, has been producing live theater and drag here in Rock Springs, with a focus on creating representation and amplifying the voices of marginalized individuals across the Equality State. Today, we've prepared a little excerpt from our upcoming show. It's the world premiere production of A Sissy in Wyoming, a play by Gregory Hinton. This is the first time that this show has ever been produced, actually. Adorable title, right? We're working to break a lot of stigmas around a lot of words around here. This beautiful story is based on the remarkable life of the Wyoming veteran, educator, airplane mechanic, and activist Larry Sissy Goodwin. He's faced insurmountable prejudice and bigotry simply for stepping out and living differently. And mind you, he was in no way harming himself or others in the process. He was straight. He had children and grandchildren. He just happened to wear petticoats like these. These are actually his that we're wearing today. He also believed in a peaceful, kind future, and that existed for every one of us. Please join me in welcoming up to the podium here the star of our show, portraying the title and only role, Corey Shaper-Cotter.
A Sissy in Wyoming. The story of Larry Sissy Goodwin is also the story of Vicki Jones Goodwin, my very generous bride. We understand that folks may be curious about a straight, working-class rural Wyoming man dressed in feminine clothes who is not trying to pass as same. There's a little something about me that irritates just about everybody, especially Vicki. My wife's very real fear is what my need to be me might generate in others. Strangers who thought nothing of shouting out insults, curses, or slurs. All of our fears were realized in spades. Services denied, job opportunities lost, housing refused, friendships that cooled, assaults, arrests. A Casper psychiatrist helped me learn why I am the way I am. Cross-dressing is a survival mechanism, a way to self-comfort. I started wearing my sister's clothes when I was 5 or 6 when the stress in our home life was at its peak. I am often asked why we stay in Wyoming. When I went public with my mode of life, I knew Wyoming wasn't the best place to be. Through some turbulent events a number of years ago, we almost did leave Wyoming. But then I came to the realization that there's not too much diversity here. Folks like me who live diverse or alternative lifestyles are often chased out. I thought, that's not fair to me. It's not fair to people like me. And Vicki and I both made the conscious decision that's not even fair to the people who live here. So why do we live in Wyoming? I guess we're just stubborn. It's obvious that I live a different lifestyle. I dress like a girl. I want people to kind of look past that if they can and see me and get to know me as a human being before they make judgments about me as far as my values, my sense of human worth, my dignity, what kind of person I am despite the way I dress. Make some kind of informed judgment. And if you have a valid reason for liking me, not liking me, that's fine. But don't make judgments about me because of my appearance. I've seen how far Wyoming has come, but it can do more. It still won't adopt hate crime protections. Live and let live, not for everyone. So you see, it isn't always easy to be a sissy in Wyoming or his family, but now and then a stranger will intercede. You may not believe it, but it is my experience that the kindness of a stranger far outweighs the cruelty of his brother. The more understanding we are as a community, the less threatening the diverse individual becomes. Only then may we draw closer to live and learn, not in spite of our differences, but because of them.
So that's a little peek for you. Our production runs next weekend, March 15th, which is Friday through Sunday the 17th. Admission is free to the public, thanks to funding from the Sweetwater Board of Cooperative Educational Services and sponsorships from Enroll Wyoming and Wyoming Equality. The performances will be immediately followed by live talkbacks, each hosted by a different guest moderator. In attendance will also be the playwright Gregory Hinton. He's coming from LA, and then Vicki Goodwin is coming from Douglas, that's Sissy's wife. Before we go, I'd like to leave you guys with one more thing, if I may, and this message kind of goes outside of this room a little bit as well. Twice now since its inception, my company has been brought before this council with the intent of censoring us and even more, shutting us down. This council has been incredibly patient in hearing out these efforts while remaining diligent to respect the rights of me and my performers. And for that, I am very grateful to you guys. Misinformation, slander, and downright disrespect for me and my performers and for other queer, trans, and drag performers around this country is rampant. As Mayor Mickelson suggested, these folks could come to me and have an actual conversation about our operations and the content of our shows. Instead, my humanity is disregarded, and I guess it's much easier to look down on others if you never have to see them as an actual person. It's all ridiculous and a waste of everyone's time. We could be working together over a common goal that is actually affecting us, like protecting the vulnerable in our population or the lack of funding for and access for education and healthcare. We're not here to groom your children. The opposite, in fact. We aim to create a culture based in love, kindness, and just fun. In a state that has a higher suicide rate per capita than any other state. So, let's protect all kids, especially the trans, queer, black, brown, and indigenous ones. Support the local arts, and if all else fails, just mind your business. Especially when you don't have enough understanding of a situation to present it to a city council meeting. Thanks for your time, and come see a Sissy in Wyoming, please.
My name is Caleb Smith. I'm a Rock Springs resident. I want to note I was supposed to be in between those two speeches, and dang, I can't follow that. But I just want to say that I'm standing here as the Assistant Director of Sissy in Wyoming. It's a role that I'm proud to be with this excellent, talented team. I'm also proud to be standing here in frilly, eye-catching clothing that you wouldn't catch me in just because of the lessons and the legacy of Sissy Goodwin. I find it fortunate that the timing of topics came together this evening. We've seen tonight examples of strength, compassion, Wyoming pride, arts and creativity, and those are all things that Sissy Goodwin strove for both himself and for the people in his life. If you follow the show, it often captures moments of sheer ecstasy and honestly suicidal moments. There were many times when Sissy sometimes felt that the whole world was against him and he was isolated. But there's also opportunities where friends and family grew through partnership, through coalitions to carve out a place where Sissy could be who he naturally was. Toward the end of the show, one of the bits that we couldn't fit into Corey's summary just talks about how there was some criticism, and toward the end of his life, there were many more defenders. And Sissy notes that he appreciated and found it to be a great example was how the community handled it, not with rancor or a sad candlelight march, but with humor and a party and a tutu. And that's why we're here tonight, and that's why we hope that you all are, as many as possible, are able to join us at a Sissy in Wyoming this next coming week. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Ma'am.
I apologize, Mayor. Can we back up to public hearing number 1? Jean would like to make a statement.
No, but she can give it as public comment.
Okay. My name is Jean Snubber, and
Now is the time, but she'll have to come down to the podium. Sorry, ma'am, you'll have to come down now. Come down now, but to the podium.
I live at the end of your avenue.
Mayor.
Yeah. Larry's got it.
Okay.
If there's nobody else as old as I am.
Yeah, I was going to say, could she talk to that?
There's nothing up there.
I'm going to be 90 years old this year. Oh, wow.
I think that deserves a round of applause.
Clap.
As I said, my name is Jean Snobber, and I live at 1009 Muir. Hi, Paul. How are you? My question is, or worry is the privacy. It's a very quiet neighborhood, and whoever owns or is wanting to buy this property, I would like to request that they put a privacy fence. And I noticed on this resolution here, it says something about the right-of-way. a vacation appliance to vacate a portion of the right-of-way. Now, is that the gate that goes off of Muir Avenue?
Yes, ma'am. They will be required to put up a privacy fence, and there are specific requirements around what that looks like to ensure that their activities don't impact the residential area. So they can't just like throw up a chain link fence, because we want to, among other things, avoid like headlights splashing on your houses and those kinds of things. So they can't move forward with any development should they be successful in purchasing the land without putting up that sort of fencing to ensure that the houses aren't impacted. And then there's a separate process for vacating that section off of Muir that we would go through, so that if we receive the funding to address the Bitter Creek mitigation, we would have a path that went around the outside of that fence for people to walk and bike on.
Will that gate be eliminated, or will that remain?
I think I would imagine it, Paul, rather than my speculating.
Your Honor, we don't have a final plan, and we haven't seen a development plan for the property, but our intent would be to vacate the portion of Muir that exists within the property. And then the pathway would kind of separate that property from the residential area, along with fencing that would be required. The gate itself may be removed, but there would be no access through to this property.
Okay.
It would be obstructed or eliminated by that pathway.
Okay, that's what I was concerned about.
They're prohibited by ordinance from using the backside of that property to enter and leave the property. They have to come off of Dewar.
Well, thank you for letting me speak.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming. And congratulations.
Mayor, Council,
Yes, sir.
I'd also like to reassure them and the public in that there will be additional time and opportunity for the public to comment on that as the city goes through the process to vacate that part of the street. So I think planning and zoning has to allow public comment for that as well.
Very good. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thanks for allowing us to do this tonight. My name is Kim White. I'm the director of EMS for Castle Rock Ambulance Service. I did see on the agenda where you guys are talking about an ambulance. I'm not here to persuade or dissuade on that. Just thought it was a good opportunity to introduce myself to a lot of you since I'm new in this position. One of the things that I just wanted to discuss tonight is, since taking on this role, one of my goals has been to go ahead and try to work collaboratively with all of the other first responder agencies, Rock Springs Fire, Green River Fire, District Fire, including AirMed, who I've also had conversations with to make sure that we can cover all of the areas that we need to in our county for emergency medical services. One of the conversations that's come up recently is the National Finals Rodeo. It's going to be a big event that we all know. We've had it here in the past. One of the things that became a concern for Castle Rock Ambulance is the fact that there are actually 6 days where there's 4 events going on at the same time that require ambulance as well as ALS and BLS, so 2 staff members for every ambulance. Castle Rock would not be able to accommodate that all on our own because of staffing. We have ambulances, but not staff. So we did want to work with, a lot of this conversation started before I started this job, but wanted to reach out with Rock Springs Fire and the other entities to help cover that. The nice thing is over the last few weeks, we've been able to work collaboratively to be able to meet those needs, including yesterday when I had a meeting with the EMS leadership at Rock Springs Fire. The other thing that's been brought up is the concern for the mass casualties that can happen in our area. We know that it's just a matter of time. It happens all across the nation and all across the world. So again, working collaboratively is something that we strive for. Unfortunately, there's going to be times when we had 30 or even 100 ambulances and it wouldn't be enough. So, but hopefully that's something that we can work towards. One of the things that's come up in the recent discussions there's been conversations and there's been comments that have been made about, if there was a child who died, because of things going on with the ambulance service, that the comments were made that we can't say that that's just the breaks, or that others have shrugged their shoulders. Shrug their shoulders and say that it happens. And I want everyone here to know that that is nothing that EMS would take slightly, is the death of a child or any person of any age for that matter. Having worked, this is my first experience in EMS, but I've worked in the emergency room here and other places for the last 21 years. I've worked with some of you in your law enforcement roles. So I've worked with a lot of law enforcement, again, first responders, and I can tell you, in those situations, there's not one that we don't remember every detail. We may not remember the name, but those are things that we will never forget. And so I'm hoping that, with just introducing myself and being able to stand up for my staff who took some of those comments very seriously, and we're very disheartened to hear that that we are here for this entire community, not just Green River, not just Rock Springs, but the entire Sweetwater area. Recently, I had the opportunity to attend the basketball games in which Green River and Rock Springs High Schools competed, and they competed not only on the basketball court, but they did Make-A-Wish. When I was a kid growing up here, we didn't have Make-A-Wish. When we had Rock Springs Green River games, it was all about the win, and it was about the rivalry, and a lot of times, a lot of negative things happened with that. To watch these students participate together and to do the blood drive, thousands of lives are saved off of that. And then to also watch them as they made money for Make-A-Wish for little kids to be able to go and have their dreams when their lives are going to be shortened. What an amazing way to collaboratively work together as a community to bring together, to make good things happen. That's one of the things that I really want to see in my current role. I don't want to have the competitions, don't want to have, the negative things that can happen, because we're all very proud of the entities in which we serve. We're proud of our businesses. We're proud of the badges we get to wear. And so I'm just hoping as the next few months go on and as we continue in our roles, so we can all work together collaboratively to make sure that we're able to give this entire community all that they need to be safe, to have us there when we need them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't run away.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Before I turn it over to council, I just want to be very clear that the intent of the city in acquiring ambulances is not to compete, but it is to have some capacity.
Yeah.
Because right now we have nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we have one on its way, and hopefully two. And the way services are delivered evolves over time.
Yep.
And we can't be a good collaborative partner if we don't have the resources to contribute. We certainly don't have the staffing available to run an ambulance service, right?
Yeah.
So we would be in the same exact boat, despite our firefighters being highly qualified. That's not their primary task.
Yes.
So we very much appreciate your efforts and the meetings that we've had. And it is a huge lift to try to provide ambulance services anywhere, but particularly in a rural area.
Yes.
And the last time I checked, Sweetwater County is not necessarily small. What are we, like the same size as Delaware? I mean, you got a lot of space to cover.
Yes.
And so as a city, I thought it was imperative that we have some capacity.
Yes.
So that in the event of
Yeah.
any sort of thing, I mean, even a absolutely god-awful snowstorm, where you guys
Yeah.
get stuck,
Yes.
and we only have, we wouldn't have the ability to respond, and this way we will. But council, before I blather on, do you guys have?
And thank you, Your Honor. One of the things that has been a concern, of course, you always get rumors that go around town and all that, and that's why I came to speak about collaboration. Meeting with you, we also met with the mayor of Green River. We initiated those conversations because we want to know the needs, we want to know the concerns that people have, and to be able to build from there. We've already started to try to build up our team. We're getting classes together. We're doing the trainings that we need and trying to build up to where we can help everyone in our community. And again, being able to work together collaboratively I think would just be amazing for all of us to work together and to come together as a community, like I said. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned staffing. What is the biggest problem with getting enough staffing?
Having the people that are trained to be able to provide the services. Right now, and this is a problem that the state has expressed, we work with the Healthcare Coalition, and even in my previous job, I worked with them as well. For quite some time, it's been a very big concern that there's no EMS class, well, not no, there's limited EMS classes here in our county. We're one of the few counties that it's lacking in the state. So some of the things that we're doing for that is we are going to be holding classes. Like I said, there are some other entities that hold classes as well. And then the Healthcare Coalition is hosting a paramedic course that will start in April that will help build up our staff that is trained, EMS staff across the board that is trained to be able to step into those
So
roles.
there's people that want to attend the classes, they're just
Yes.
not okay.
Yep. And then there's different levels in EMS. And so, usually the lower level classes you can get into pretty easily, but as you progress, those ones are more difficult to get into. The college had a paramedic course for 1 year, then it was cut. Those paramedic courses are very essential. Prior to that, people were traveling over to Cheyenne for those classes, and it makes it a lot more expensive and a lot more time consuming when people are having to travel.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
can you tell me how many ambulances you have available?
We have 7 physical ambulances that we can run out of. Right now, our staffing, we have 2 full staff with ambulances in Rock Springs, 1 in Green River, that we staff 24/7. And then we do have to provide the transports for the hospital. There are times that we have to turn those down, because of it's busy and they've had a lot of transfers. But we have been, if we do have a transfer go out, I've been working really hard to try to backfill to keep those 3 911 ambulances available.
Okay.
Since I've started.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I personally just want to thank your staff. Last week, we encountered that with my father, and just a change of events happened throughout the day, and he had to get transported last Wednesday night. And your staff, they were there, they answered our questions, and they were the constant that we had in a very unknown situation. So thank you.
Thank you. That's good to
everything
hear.
that you're
Like I
doing.
said, that's one of the things I've been impressed with coming from a hospital setting to EMS is watching the collaboration, especially on scene between the different entities. It's been a great learning opportunity for me, but also just it amazes me the work that they do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. Okay. Next.
Good evening. My name is Rick Malonis. I'm a downtown property owner. First off, I want to apologize for my past behavior. If I know then what I know now, I would approach things a lot different. But I'm here to explain why I'm so upset. So I bought my first downtown property in 2003. And after that, I bought 7 more properties, rehabbed the properties. And I had 3 different businesses in that time frame, and there's one that's still going today. So I'm heavily involved with downtown revitalization and economic development. So the first reason I'm so upset is because of the last mayor and all his shenanigans. You know, his father-in-law writing $50,000 POs to JFC and then signing with a stamp from the department head. That's not right. Starting those retention ponds without approval by the Army Corps of Engineers, that was not good. But probably the most upsetting thing is that grate that's over that bike tunnel in Dead Horse Canyon. And as soon as they put that in and we had that great big flood or that big rain, it flooded all downtown. After all the money we spent on flood survey work, we got a big flood downtown because of that grate in front of that tunnel. And it's going to happen again. Mark my words, it's going to happen again. So, and then we got that big $4 million project behind Albertsons. I think there could have been money better spent. Obviously, there was something going on because the mayor was indicted and found guilty by the FBI. So I think, the council's job is to keep an eye on that stuff. I think that's why you're elected, is to keep an eye on things like that. So that's the first reason I'm upset. The second reason is right here, 2014. This is the plan for Bunning Park, 2014. They bought all those properties down there. They run Frank Liu off his properties. And now we have a bunch of dirt lots with no remedy in sight. It's just terrible. That looks terrible. As a matter of fact, I had 3 of my properties under appraisal for several years. So why would I do any maintenance on properties that the city was going to buy? Well, guess what? The city ran out of money. So it cost me $15,000 to get those properties back up and running. The third reason I'm upset, when the city put the big storm sewer next to my building downtown, they smashed my sewer line. That cost me another $10,000. So Bitter Creek reconstruction hasn't worked out very well for me. The fourth reason I'm upset is Destination Development was hired by the city in 2007 to survey. They were consultants to decide how we're going to do downtown revitalization and economic development. And what they said was, in order to generate more visitor expenditures, as well as make the downtown a place where locals want to hang out, Rock Springs need to diversify its downtown retail mix. We recommend espresso bar, newsstand, Bristo. Tourists will not go where locals are not present, so it is important to make sure Rock Springs residents are active, engaged, and highly visible. So in 2008, Southwest Embroidery moved from the mall downtown into our building. Then in 2009, they opened a coffee bar, which was permitted by the city, 2009. Carl Plummer, the one who put the coffee bar in, said at the time there was nothing ever said about table and chairs. So there was table and chairs throughout the whole building. Not an issue, 2009. So Nels come along and bought all their equipment and supplies, but when they filled out the application for a business license, they checked the box new business. And it really wasn't a new business. It was just taking over an existing business. So they even bought all their equipment and supplies. But since they checked that box, the city assumed it was a new business and it was a change of occupancy. But it really wasn't. So the city ended up running them out of my building. So there's another $10,000 that they've cost me. And I didn't know about the Building Appeals Board at the time. I wish I did. But as per Ordinance 7-108.5, it states, any person, firm, corporation, or association which is directly affected by a decision of the building or fire code official regarding the suitability of alternate materials, methods of construction, or technical interpretation of adopted codes and standards of this section may appeal that decision to the Building Codes Appeal Board. Anybody that is affected. So I followed the procedure. I emailed the appeal to Nathan Reese. In the statute, it says they have 5 days reply. No reply. So I inquired, and I was told it needed to be written. I emailed it. So I sent the next one, certified mail. Well, they received it on 12/8/23. Still no response. So I attended the next council meeting, and the mayor said he would check it out and get back to me. Well, the next thing I know, I get a letter from city attorney that says, if you are not legally trained, administrative processes of this nature can be highly complex and difficult to understand. This is not something you can simply wing with a layperson's reading of zoning ordinances. I again strongly urge you to obtain the advice of a competent legal counsel at your earliest convenience. Failure to heed this advice will continue to yield poor results. So I hired an attorney, another $2,000. So now we're up to city costing me $37,000. How would you guys feel? Anyhow, after 3 months of trying to get to the appeals board, I have a renter that needed to move forward. So Kathy Green said I needed to withdraw my application before she could accept theirs. And as soon as I did, Mr. Beckwith said my appeal was over. My attorney thinks we have a good case and we could file a lawsuit against Mr. Beckwith, Ms. Green, Mr. Reese, and the city of Rock Springs for abuse of power, violating my rights, and denying me due process. You know what, guys? I do not want to go down that path. I really want to get to the appeals board. I'm not arguing about the fire code. What I'm arguing about is the change of use, change of occupancy. Like I said, that coffee bar was approved by the city in 2009. They had tables all over that building. Even though I think, so I'm not arguing the fire code, but I think occupancy load is a better code to follow than square footage. My building is 700 square foot over the limit. I'd like to know how, if it was reduced by 700 square feet, it would make it safer. I wish somebody could explain that to me sometime. You know, that's what Grand Junction does with their downtown. They go by occupancy load. Anyhow, I really want the buildings appeals board to decide if it is a change of occupancy. You know, there is absolutely no reason not to allow me to take this to the appeals board. Let them decide if there was an occupancy change. You know, that's what they're there for. So that's what I'm asking you guys. I'd like to see the mayor and the council step up and get me to that appeals board.
Council? The only thing that I can say, because despite there not being a filing in court, this is still potentially a legal issue, is that we are as bound by the ordinances and processes and statutes of the city as every other citizen. And so we will comply with our own ordinances and processes for everyone.
But you didn't. You had 5 days to reply, you didn't. It doesn't say I need an attorney in that ordinance. It says anybody can apply, anybody can appeal, and you guys are denying me that right. That's not right, guys. It's hurting everybody. It hurts the downtown. That's a good thing for downtown. It's not hurting anything, having a little coffee shop with 6 tables and chairs. I don't want to go down that path. I don't want to go to the courts. I don't want to file a lawsuit. I want to get to the appeals board and let them decide, and then I'll be done with it.
My understanding of that process generally is that in order to go to the appeals board, you have to have an active plan on file. That is what our process is laid out in our ordinance.
Or does it say that?
Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to get into that detail of a discussion because I would not be able to provide accurate information off the cuff. I certainly will look into it further, and when I go to the subject matter experts, which are my staff, to provide that information to you, that is responding to your request. It doesn't do any good for me to run and be the go-between. I'd much prefer that you speak to the people that have that expertise.
I guess what is your responsibility down here?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Councilors, may I address the issue? It's important for Mr. Malonis to understand that this body can't provide any of the relief that he is seeking. The initial appeal that he's talking about, which I told him he needed to start processing, was he wanted to immediately appeal. And I think it's important for the public record and for everyone here to understand exactly what Mr. Malonis was attempting to do and how he screwed up. So initially, he tried to appeal the comments made by the code officials in the initial utility review meeting. That's an unappealable thing because no permanent decisions have been made. No decisions are made until plans are submitted by the applicant showing their response to the comments made by the code officials. So Mr. Malonis and his attorney were attempting to appeal essentially an unappealable comment made by our code officials. Thereafter, and I'm more than happy to share all of my emails with his attorney and with the council and with the district court if necessary. So I was finally able to convince his attorney that he needed to file his final plans showing what he actually intended to do as a response to the code's comments, the code officials' comments in the utility review meeting, again, which is not appealable. So that's one of the reasons no appeal came out of that utility review meeting. Anyone here that's familiar with development knows the process. So the code official, Mr. Malonis, did finally file his final plans, which was just simply a copy of his original site plan, as his final plan, saying that he didn't feel he needed to make any of the changes that the code officials were going to require. So I informed his attorney by email that he had 30 days then to file that appeal. And this appeal is based upon his application for Rick's Cafe. So I had what I felt was a fairly decent relationship with his attorney, and she said about the process of processing his appeal and getting it ready to go. On February 29th, we received a letter, and I have forwarded that letter to all of you, that says, "I withdraw my application for Rick's Cafe." So now Rick stands before you here today asking you to take some action after he has withdrawn his application. His attorney filed his appeal the next day after he withdrew his application for Rick's Cafe. And I have also forwarded you the email that I sent to his attorney explaining that because he has withdrawn his application, there now is no application before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and there is therefore no appeal because there is no pending application. Now, part of getting an attorney is not only listening to the advice of that attorney, but also making certain that you don't take any action that your attorney is unaware of that may have an effect on your action. So the only thing that screwed up Mr. Malonis's appeal was the actions that he took himself outside of his attorney's knowledge without consulting with her by withdrawing the application. I am more than happy to take this case to district court and listen to the argument his attorney makes as to why the city has violated his due process rights when he has failed to follow the process and failed not only to consult with her but to follow her advice. So he would have had an active appeal right now today, and we would have had a hearing within 2 weeks. But Mr. Malonis, doing his own thinking, determined that it would be best to withdraw that application. I just want to make sure that that is in the record. I've sent you all a copy of it, and I want to read his letter into the record so that we're all aware of what Mr. Malonis is talking about. February 29th, 2024, he said this: "I withdraw my application for Rick's Cafe, signed Rick Malonis. That renders the appeal and his application moot."
And that is where we're at.
And I want to make it clear again that this body cannot give the relief that Mr. Malonis is seeking. He needs to not only obtain an attorney, but listen to that attorney's advice and not take any actions outside of the scope of that attorney without that attorney's knowledge. When I sent this letter to the attorney, she said, I'm not familiar with this. And what that told me was he did it without consulting his attorney first, not knowing that that would in fact kill his appeal. And I'm more than happy to go to court about that.
I would also prefer not to go to court, mostly because it is a huge expense. And I don't think that that would be a good use of your own money or of the public's money. But we have processes that we are required to follow, and there is no remediation for them other than to go through the process as it's laid out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay. With that, we will close public comment and move forward with bills and claims. The first up, we have the bills and claims for March 5th, 2024. Council, do I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims for March 5th, 2024.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. I can't believe you guys are leaving right during the exciting part. Okay. Fair. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
I'll be abstaining.
Abstaining.
Okay, so the motion will carry with Councilors Thompson and Pedri abstaining. And that brings us to our salaries from February 22nd, 2024. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve the salaries for February 22nd, 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
I'll be abstaining.
Abstaining also.
Motion carries with Councilors Pedri and Thompson abstaining. That brings us to new business. The first item is a request for a restaurant liquor license by Cowboy Corner Cafe, Wyoming, doing business as Wild Mustang Restaurant, located at 2028 Dewar Drive, Rock Springs. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Bartolo. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. The next item is a request from the fire department for permission to apply for a grant through the fiscal year 2024 Assistance to Firefighters Grant from FEMA to purchase mental health and wellness courses, fitness equipment, and fire hose appliances in the amount of $75,000. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Bartolo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. And I want to see the RC Willie that carries fire hose appliances. The next item is a request from the fire department for permission to apply for a grant through the fiscal year 2024 Firefighters Grant from FEMA to purchase a new fire apparatus in the amount of $925,000. Is there a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hanson?
I move to approve this request.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Pedri. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Next up is a request from the fire department for permission to purchase a used ambulance in the amount of $25,800. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. The next item is a request from the fire department for permission to fill a vacant battalion chief position. Is there a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Our next item is a request from the fire department for permission to fill a vacant captain position. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hanson?
I move to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Bartolo. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Our next item is a request from the Parks and Recreation Department for permission to fill, bless you, a vacant substitute custodian position. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Counselor Demas?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Counselor Robinson, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Our final item of new business this evening is a request from the Police Department for permission to fill a vacant sergeant position. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes, Counselor Hanson.
I move to approve this request.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Thank you, Counselor Petrie. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to resolutions. Our first being 2024-21. Matt?
A resolution accepting and approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, Sweetwater County School District Number 1, and archaeologist Dudley Gardner, Ph.D., and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said memorandum of understanding on behalf of said city.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Counselor Demas?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-21.
Thank you, Counselor Demas. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Botello. I do that every time. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I did see when the city website put out the agenda and everything, there was a comment, and I didn't see if it was answered. Somebody asked if Dr. Gardner, whatever he finds, if it's something, what happens to that? Any artifacts or anything like that? Does that go to the college or the museum?
That's an excellent question, and perhaps it wasn't answered because we don't have that answer. I'm sure there are federal regulations around what is done with historical artifacts like that. Certainly, the city would want to make an effort to retain those in the city somewhere for our citizens to look into. But I will find out, and I'll let you all know. So,
Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Thank you for bringing that up. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to Resolution 2024-22.
A resolution accepting and approving an agreement with Zen City Technologies US Inc. for a 12-month subscription with the initial amount of $18,000 and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs to execute said agreement on behalf of said city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to Resolution 2024-23.
A resolution approving the Sweetwater County Local Government Agency's Emergency Operations Plan 2024 and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs to execute the plan on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-23.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Petrie. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Taking us forward to 2024-24. What do they call that? The golden birthday?
A resolution accepting and approving a contract with Lexicon, Inc., doing business as Heritage Links in the amount of $5,368,633.32 and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said contract on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilor Robinson, is there any discussion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson.
Mr. Lansing, How far out of the 6 cent budget is that figure we see?
Your Honor, Counselor Hickerson, we requested 6 million for this particular project.
Perfect.
And so, we're quite a ways under that, actually.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Not often that
No.
we have that. Let's have that problem more often. Looking at you, Chief Harris Palmer.
If we can get that along with the wrestler responses, that amount of speed,
right?
We could streamline these meetings.
You
It may
know-
not be as exciting as some people want, but
what did that first was it Brock Fletcher? The season was good. Yeah, that is a laconic response right there. That was impressive. Okay, back to business. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to Resolution 2024-25.
A resolution authorizing Mayor Max Mickelson, acting in his capacity as chairman of the Rock Springs Housing Board, to authorize April Thompson as Rock Springs Housing Authority supervisor to accept the terms electronically for the payment processing terms with Yardi Systems, Inc.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor.
Whoa. I mean,
He can have it.
we'll go with Batolo as the motion and Demus as the second.
Second.
Very good. Perfect. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Thank
Abstaining
you.
also.
Thank you. And can you gentlemen share why? Your reasoning for abstaining?
Yes, so it's affiliated with the housing and anything that pertains to housing. I have signed an agreement with HUD that I will not vote on it based on our relationship with housing. So that's
Thank you.
why I abstain from this and the bills and claims.
And for my reasoning, my wife is April Thompson, the Director of City Housing, so I abstain from anything to do with her departments to keep everything above board.
Thank you, councilors. Okay, so with that, the motion carries with councilors Thompson and Pedri abstaining. Taking us to Resolution 2024-26.
A resolution authorizing Max Mickelson as the mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute and submit a vacation application to planning and zoning to vacate a portion of the public right-of-way at the terminus of Muir Avenue.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-26.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Taking us to Resolution 2024-27.
A resolution accepting and approving a proposal with Huber Technology Wastewater Solutions in the amount of $5,022,827 for the provision of solar drying equipment for the wastewater treatment facility, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said proposal on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Batolo. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson.
I don't know if I'm supposed to address Mr. Seals in this or Paul, but is this to handle some of the stench that we get in the springtime?
Yes,
I don't know a better way to
Your
put
Honor,
that.
Councilor Hickerson. This is the part of the 6 cent project or specific purpose project to, I don't want to say eliminate all the odors because the wastewater plant does have odors, but to impede some of the odors.
And this goes to, in conjunction with the grant we received to help finish this project?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you trying to say that we occasionally have a magically mephitic milieu that permeates?
I have to drive that direction every day. It's
Yeah.
Maybe
heard
we should
tell.
include some dryer sheets.
Bounce.
Just need a lot of those little
Throw
Christmas
bounce.
trees. Yeah, no, this is very good. Okay, is there any further discussion?
Yeah.
Councilor Patola?
The same question that Larry asked earlier regarding the golf course. What was budgeted for this?
Well, Your Honor, Counselor Batolo, we received 5.25 million through the specific purpose and 2.25 million through the ARPA grant. So a total of $7.5 million.
Okay.
And that'll include this equipment purchase and the upcoming construction contract that will be an actual open bid.
Okay.
Very good. Anything further? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to Resolution 2024-28.
A resolution authorizing and directing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to accept and approve a budget revision to the budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there any discussion? My computer wants to chime in. Nope. Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our final act of business this evening, Resolution 2024-29.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract between Jorgensen Division 10 Specialties and the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, in the amount of $192,069 for the locker replacement at the Rock Springs Family Recreation Center, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said contract on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-29.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to council updates. If any of the council would like to share any activities or meetings they've been up to, very briefly, it would definitely be welcomed.
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson?
So, I don't know, a couple months ago, 6 weeks ago, I asked the council to think of ideas on how we can improve. This is the meeting we have to have that discussion. If any of your constituents have reached out to you, or if you guys have anything you really want to see done throughout the city to help make it better, please
I
discuss
don't
it now.
have anything.
I haven't had anybody contact me other than snow stuff,
Snow stuff.
and that was handled.
Anything from you?
No, nobody's reached out. I'd like to support what Tim followed up with an email. We can have just department heads let us know where they're at, and more of a addressing the city to let us know what we can do to help everybody.
Okay. Nothing.
Randy and I are working on a list together. We should have it for you in a couple weeks.
Okay, we have to have that finalized by the 15th, correct?
Yeah, there was a form sent out. and
Yeah.
We'll put
Just
together
make
with our recommendations.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Robinson?
I don't have anything. The only calls that I've received were about Muir Street, and I think that those questions have been addressed, and it was primarily access from Muir itself. How is this going to affect my privacy? And I think that I actually spoke to our speaker tonight, so I think that's been addressed. And
It was a super lovely lady.
absolutely, and I tell you what, I hope that I am that mobile, and my wife would prefer that I'm not that vocal by the time I hit that age, but she was, yeah, absolutely. Good on her.
Yeah, no. I just hope to be here at that age. That's I'm gonna set my
Right?
goal a little
Absolutely.
higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not being
One-
in a nurse.
So, sorry to continue dragging this on. I know it's bedtime. I did have a few people talk to me. Most of it are things we're addressing. They were concerned about the condition of some of the facilities at the rec center with the locker room. We're addressing some of that, the ice. Beautification, I know we're putting a lot of work into that. The only one that actually stuck out was people do want to, or some of the people I talked to wanted to see us try a little harder on the open container law, even if it's just during the summer on weekends, just to give it a trial run. And I mean, I don't know if you guys have talked to any of your constituents or how you feel about it, but I've had enough people talk to me about it that I feel it's worth another look.
I just want to propose that if we want to move council meetings to 6 a.m.,
I'd be a lot more spry.
I don't think so, too.
Okay.
One item, I had a constituent call today about parking in an alleyway. It runs perpendicular, or parallel to Goebel and Ludwig, and in between E and H. It's a very narrow alleyway. What they're asking for is signs put on each end that would say if you block it, vehicles would be towed away. Could that be looked at, or do I have them call the PD to give me some guidance here?
Your Honor and Counsel, of course, we can look at that. Now I have an address and a complaint. I can just send our nuisance officer over there in the morning and take a look at it. I don't know that signs are necessary. It is illegal to park in the alleyway, so we can have it removed.
Okay.
Bye.